Welcome to the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast, where we explore the local arts culture in the Lehigh Valley. We'll be doing this through conversations with individual artists, administrators, and organizations. We'll explore all types of mediums with the goal of enriching local culture.
Welcome back to Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast. I'm Elise, and today's co-host is Elizabeth. Elizabeth has been with the Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast project since the very beginning, and we are so excited to have her on as a host today.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm going to share a little bit of my bio with you. I went to Bloomsburg University, and I got my degree in special education. I currently work as a middle school teacher in special ed. One of the reasons I like working on this podcast the most and wanted to be involved in the process from the beginning was because the accessibility in the arts, and that is something that I am very passionate about. And I am also a singer, songwriter, and I work a little bit with photography and drawing as well.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Liz Elizabeth has been working with us since the very beginning, been an amazing sound engineer, and I'm so excited that we get to sit in here and record together today.
Woo! Yes.
And just a fun fact, Liz and I have been friends for a very long time, so this is is super exciting and super fun.
Like 10 years
10
now.
10 plus years.
That's crazy. That makes us sound old.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about our trip to the Bethlehem House Gallery.
Yes.
We went just a few days ago for their summer show.
Yes.
We also went to the opening reception. An absolutely gorgeous show, as always. This one in particular is their summer show, opened June 25th, will be open until October 2nd. I really like the setup, and I was just so awestruck by the color in this show.
Yeah.
Everything is so colorful, and I love the connection between summer and just absolutely vibrant, rich, high value colors. I really, really liked it. And there was one of our former guests had her own space with quite a few pieces at the House Gallery, Abby Roscoe.
Oh, she did. I was unfortunately not here for that one in particular when she was here, but her pieces are incredible. They're very breathtaking. And they're, of the few that were there, you said a lot about vibrant colors. Hers aren't as vibrant. It's amazing when you can find an artist that has that ability to take such simplistic colors and give it such life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think especially the pieces she had exhibited there, are very subject focused, like focused on an individual.
Yes.
So there's a lot of life and emotion and focus on detail, and it's just her stuff is so gorgeous.
Yeah, and typically, I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but I mentioned before a couple of her pieces that are there, they're people that she knows, so that you can definitely give more emotion and depth in that sense because they're subject piece that you have a strong connection with.
Absolutely.
Which was really cool to see.
Absolutely. There was I know the one piece that you mentioned a few times that we were in there was the floral arrangement in the guitar piece by Rachel Bell.
Yes.
I really liked that one, Rachel. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. It had a bird cage with it too, and it had all the floral arrangements in there, and hanging and cascading, I think were cherries or apples. They're smaller. It's just a beautiful piece altogether. And then the big case, and then all the floral arrangements in the case. Beautiful. It was great.
I'd like to give a shout out to the artists that are in the summer show over at the House Gallery: Abby Roscoe, Adam Capone, Andy DiPietro, Mandy Martin, Rigo Peralta, Femi J. Johnson, and Cody Abrachinsky. And Cody, who is currently exhibiting at the House Gallery, is actually our guest today. So Liz, would you like to read his bio for us?
Cody Abrachinsky lives and works in Bethlehem, PA. Throughout his career as an artist, Cody has been unpacking the underpinnings of modern art movements such as abstract expressionism, minimalism, and pop art. His recent work deconstructs the desert landscape of Palm Springs, California, through high-key colors, bold shapes, and stark scraping techniques. Cody obtained his BFA from Moravian College in 2019 and graduated as president of Kappa Pi International Arts Fraternity. Post-graduation, he had his first major art exposition at Bethlehem House Gallery. Since then, Cody has exhibited at Soft Machine Gallery, Allentown Art Museum, and the Baum School of Art. Cody is currently pursuing his Master's of Arts in Teaching and Welding certificate. Well, welcome, Cody, to our show for this week.
thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you on. So in your bio, like your introduction, when we're talking about the house gallery and how you feel about the room itself.
Basically, the room was a conception of, 60s and 70s, Palm Springs, modern. I wanted this very California vibe to it. You walk into this house, it's a ranch. It's got glass all the way around, and there's a pool in the back. A couple rubber ducks floating in the pool. It's standard. It's standard. And
yeah, that's what my house looks like.
So, I really had a lot of plans for this particular show in this particular room. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of freedom, and Ward kind of gave me a little bit of a creative, like I said, that creative freedom to work within that space. And there are things that I wanted to collaborate with, personal mid-century modern collection, and as well as his personal collection, and kind of combine and couple the two. The room has like a crawl space that we store moving blankets in. So I was like, this fireplace is not looking good here. We agreed. And it was offset. How are we going to have this all come together? So he set me up in his shop. We built a wall for it, painted it to be adjacent with the other wall. And nobody really knows how much goes into the behind the scenes, and
Absolutely.
it's like one of the last things to always get done. There's ladders in there. There's lighting to get done. There's zip ties on the floor, things like that. And I'm like, we got 2 days to open. I'm going home early. I got stuff to do. I come back in, and it's like, you snap the fingers, it's done, set up, and wow, and Jerry does a wonder, a miracle on the lighting. I had the art on the wall there. It's a big window. Everybody's going to see it. You got Music Fest coming up. I'm like, what are we going to do? Maybe even WFMZ will show up and say, hey, there's the artwork in the back. Got a little ego boost reporting live. Somebody's poodle got stolen, but there's the artwork in the back, But, you have all that real estate in the front, and it's kind of big shoes to fill. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to exhibit there once more. I did a show in 2019 following my graduation of Moravian College, of course, and my bachelor's of fine art. And it was just great following up. I moved from one room to another. And essentially, as I said, the room was this whole entire California vibe. The work was like a spur of the moment body of work and a whole series that just kind of came out of, let's say desperation. All right, let's be real. We're on air. Desperation. We can fill that one in later. We can cut that one out if we want. But no, it really was a decision that was based off of, the design and mandated by the function of the furniture. So I wanted it all to really come together like that. And of course, I have some other pieces too that we can always go into further. That are kind of like this nod to my original work and a nod to things I've sold in the past. Both beautiful, pieces of art for the space. I really like to design a lot of the works nowadays for interiors, and I basically have a passion for interior design, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to kind of exercise a lot of those muscles where it's very difficult to kind of get that around here. I mean, it's not everybody and not every day that somebody comes up and says, hey, here, work with me here, set this up. And then you come into work the next day and, the boss says, hey, they're not moving things around. That's a good sign. That's 2 thumbs up right there. That you're onto something good here. So that's pretty much how it is.
No, that's awesome. I mean, we've had a couple guests on the show that have had work exhibited at the House Gallery, and it's a little bit different because they share like this air of mystery around it where they like drop off their stuff and then a month later like the show's up and they get to go in and check it out. But you bring your work in there and you work there, so you have an instrumental part in kind of setting up this space and making it all come together, which is very cool.
Yeah. I'd like to expand on that a little bit more. I
Sure,
mean, it's just, it's I was doing some thinking about that the other day, trimming the grass up a little bit. It's, it's so strange. I've been helping Ward out for a couple years now, and moving furniture in the trucks and stuff. And moving things around. And it's like there's so much that goes into that process that maybe even the common person walking in is just, takes it for granted. It's crazy. And as an artist back then, I dropped off the work, I was framing it, and that's a lot of work too, framing the artwork, making it, getting all those final touches. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm thinking, you get back to the space and it's all hung up, it's all beautiful. And then being behind the scenes now for a few changeovers, I mean, you get the work in there, all the artists are dropping things off, they're leaving. I'm like, I got 100 paintings. I got my own paintings. And then it's a team effort. I mean, I got to think about their work. I'm friends with all the artists. I work closely with them. They're my comrades. We're all working together for a similar objective, and we all, have this common goal. And now I got all this extra artwork to hang. I got all this extra stuff. We got to think about the big picture, and it gets to be a lot, but it's wonderful. And I'm just happy it all comes together at once. And then once it's all over, you can kind of sit back and then just let it all go, and enjoy it. So it's nice being able to sit back and just hear the compliments from everybody. And most of the time, everybody has something nice to say. You always get a little bit of a positive feedback, a little bit of an ego boost, if you will. And like, I had stake in that. It's hard not to be like, a little bit of that was my work, but I'm not bragging or anything.
No, you should. Why do artists have such a hard time showing themselves off? You should brag. It's amazing work, and the room is absolutely fantastic. It's so colorful and just so well put together. And I really like the fireplace. That's a cool touch.
Yes.
Very, very funky. Very funky.
It's a little funky. It's a little crackling sounds in there.
One gentleman came in and he said, "You gotta turn the heat off in here. Every room's cold, but that room." I said, "The heat's not on.
It's not a real fireplace."
It's like, okay, let's get the thermometer out. All right, make sure
we're not actively burning wood on the paintings.
Are you feeling all right?
Very nice.
That's funny.
Well, you mentioned that you attended Moravian College for your bachelor's degree.
Yes.
And graduated 2018?
2019.
And what was your degree in?
And I originally started out in the studio art track.
Okay.
And by my senior year, they had invented this awesome thing called a Bachelor of Fine Art, and which I was qualified for, and I had to take a few extra courses that made me a fine artist, not a studio artist, not working in my studio, but I'm qualified. I got the finer things now. Okay. More exquisite, more intelligent, 2 extra courses on art history, really got all that Baroque information in there now. It's stuck in my head. So
is that the difference between a studio art major and a fine arts major?
It's just a few courses in art history, things that touch you up on, forgive me for anybody at Moravian listening to that and saying I'm wrong. But in my opinion, it was kind of more on the scale of art history and anything that had to do with rounding yourself off in the arts and, sculpture and all those other things that I really enjoy, photography and so on and so forth.
Very nice. Did that expand your interest into other artistic mediums, having the opportunity to study other?
No.
No? I'm just a studio art major.
No, but it is amazing just how you can go from one area of concentration. And I kind of entered Moravian with this idea like, I got this body of work already. I'm ahead of the other students. I've been making abstract works. I've had a show at Connections Gallery in Easton already. I got all these experimental works going on. And, I really didn't have all the tools and all the knowledge of art. It's just been a recent endeavor for me. But, I come into it like, I'm like taking Jackson Pollock's splatter paintings and drip paintings. I'm making it modern and this is new. And then you get in there, you get critique, you can go through the motions and you're like, tough crowd. I really didn't know this much. And then eventually it all materialized into this big, cultivated process of art making now. I've helped out with ceramics, anything that printmaking. I helped as a student, teacher, like a teacher's assistant as a student, and
Sure.
really going through those motions of an artist and trying each different outlet and avenue. And I just fell in love with the materials, and trying new things was just like addicting at one point. It was like, well, what else do you have for me? So,
Yeah.
you really fall in love with that, and you can kind of gauge where you want to be as an artist.
Mm.
When I first started there, it was like, I only paint. There's nothing else but paint. And then I had photography, digital photography, and black and white, and alternative processes. And listening to that and following those avenues, I kind of ended up with photography awards, the InVision Award, and
Mhm.
at Banana Factory and things of that nature. Like, how the heck did this happen? I was just out there shooting, and this is tremendous. What were you thinking? Where are you thinking? I was thinking, well, there's a train going overhead here, and there's some snow. This looks pretty good to me,
That's nice.
So, but that's, you never know where you're really going to find out. And I enjoy it so much that it got to the point where I wanted to help out others. And, I was so passionate about being around the materials and the different disciplines that I was like, maybe I should help other people out that kind of came in here with the same attitude, or
Mm.
weren't really into art, but changed as their major and wanted to do something new. And I was like, well, hey, you can kind of do this, if you put your mind to it or find something interesting in it that makes you gravitate towards it.
I know you mentioned in your bio that are you going for your master's as well at Moravian?
Yeah. So I was kind of like in this period before, actually during COVID. It gave me a lot of clarity to think about what I really want to do. Had I not had that, I think it would have been run ragged.
Mm.
And so I really wanted to shoot for the stars. I wanted to go for my master's in art teaching at Columbia University. I was like, let's
Oh,
go
cool.
all the way,
Yeah.
and get me closer to the city, and which is where I ultimately would like to be
Mhm.
as an artist. And I think a lot of us share that same goal. But
Mhm.
so I
Definitely.
said, let's try to go here. Started out Moravian, said, let's see if this is for me. At least I'm in the state, got to get a state license for teaching, things like that.
Yeah.
Got all my clearances and stuff. And, I really enjoyed it. I put a lot of hours and time into it. So it's
Yeah.
in pursuit. But right now, life happens and there's things that come up. And
Absolutely.
as the world is opening up, I'm finding myself really chasing a lot of the art as well.
Mm.
And when you got an opportunity and a window to chase something that is that unique and special, I
Mhm.
think I kind of go with that. So teaching is still in my
Absolutely.
blood, but also it's in the passenger seat. It's not in the back seat, it's in the passenger seat.
Uh-huh.
And of course I want to pursue welding also. So
Yeah.
loading up my schedule. I'm not busy at
No.
all. I got nothing going
Yeah,
on in my life.
No.
might as well
No,
just go and start a master's program.
In all of the mediums.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to metalwork and work in welding. Where does the interest for that stem from?
So this is an open can of tuna here. I mean, we can keep digging and digging.
Let's dig. Let's do it.
Digging is
So,
good.
my origins stem from wanting to be an auto mechanic, and I originally basically started my whole life wanting to work on automobiles. I mean, that's my passion. I grew up around motors, things that had 2 wheels, 4 wheels, anything like that. It was just always exciting me. It could be a lawn tractor, which I'm still excited. I'll have to pull over if I see a tractor on the side of the road. I mean, I'll go crazy over it. Kind of a nasty hobby to get into as an artist, with the money's not always there to support the toys. But
Mm.
anyway, that's something I was always passionate about. I never thought there was anything more for me in my life than wanting to work on automobiles and cars and maybe trucks. I like the occasional truck or a bus going by, so maybe I'll work on one of those.
Why not?
So anyway, time goes on, and finally got to the point, got out of high school. I said, well, go to school for auto tech at Northampton, and said, well, it's neat, but I had zero focus,
Mm.
very low attention span, and I was like totally throwing it away. I was like, wow, I came out of high school, go right into school. I'm kind of confused, and it just wasn't grasping. It felt little, like I wasn't all invested in it. So I had to take extra courses on the side and, do all these things to fulfill requirements. And
Yeah.
I took a visual foundations course, the very, 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 very basic art course. I'm talking, what color does this make? How do you make yellow?
Yeah.
How do you make greens and purples, and how does this all come about? And I'm not talking in terms of pigments. I'm talking in terms of
straight up color.
Yeah, like if you can identify the colors in this crayon box, you have already handled half of the course here. So my first day of class, I sat down next to who would be a very good professor of mine, who has guided me through many trials and tribulations as an artist, and led me to my passion for teaching as well. At least half of it. There are many teachers that have done that for me. But I parked next to this gentleman, and he's got a old Alfa Romeo sports car, and I had a black sports car, all tuned up and stuff. And I said, that's a cute car, but I bet mine's faster. And he's looking at me, and he starts to tell me about, like George Washington crossing the Delaware. And I'm just rattling off history. I thought, this guy's got the most bizarre dialogue I've ever seen. And our first lesson, he said, all right, you guys got little art kits here. You got the basic colors. And I said, I want you to paint 4 seasons. I said, how hard could that be? Come on. 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall.
Mm-hmm.
Fall is orange, summer, green, spring, green, winter, blue. The bluest of blues.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we go to do it. Up the kazoobies. I'm struggling here. I go and we have a critique. Same day. Acrylics dry fast.
Oh.
I'm telling you, trees. He just said trees. Trees with seasons. And we got it up on the wall. Everybody's looked exactly like what I think the seasons look like. Everybody's got the blue for the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The occasional person that was a smart ass, they had, purple in there. And I said, all right. I said, all right, hot shot, cool it.
Cool it with your purple.
Yeah. And so I go up there and I got a tree that's brown as shit. I got the all the colors mixed up. Fall has got black in it. It's got all this stuff. It was mixing mud. Everything looked like mud and muck. I said, this is the most elementary thing. I can take a whole motor apart. I can put an entire car back together, and I can't do mixing the colors. I can't do it. I could probably paint a whole car. I can do auto body. I can fill it all back in. I said, I do this. I work with paint, professional paint, and I can't mix the colors. So I think from that point forward, I think I had a challenge for myself that would pave the way to be what I'm doing now. And that's the truth in it. I mean, it was just drove me crazy, at night. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to switch to graphic design. So I said, graphic design interests me. I can work with computers. I enjoy that very much too. I said, and you can do art courses on the side, but there's no money in painting. I said, there's no money. I'll do graphic design. You'll make your money. You play with the paints on the side. Cool. You get the car. You get all the good stuff. I said, all right. Well, mid-semester, being defiant again, same school, and going through class, I get up and I said, I'm just going to rock and roll. I'm going to be a rock star. I ain't going to do this anymore. I want to be a rock star. And she's like, good luck with that. And I closed the door and I was done. I literally just left the class and left the school. I took about a year off and I was working in garages and things like that and washing cars and stuff. Nothing exciting. Said I was in a band at the time, my twin brother and my best friend, and we were playing in a metal band. Of course, we had this little ego and chip on our shoulders. We're thinking we're like, yeah, this is it. It's driving around. There's people walking on the streets, and like, oh my, yeah, it's cool. We really showed them. Go to McDonald's drive-thru and put, and like, oh yeah, we're cool, huh? So go through the motions of that. Work's not working out for me, and said, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna try one more time, but I'm just gonna go for paint. So I'm gonna do nothing with my life right now. I'm gonna do something that's creative. Well, once you know it, here we go. Down the rabbit hole some more and go back, take a introductory painting course, and guy really just turned me into an artist in a short amount of time. And there's things like an orange is in front of you, and you're looking at the light source, and it just, how can this be? How can this be? So we'll start looking at the colors. There's browns in there. There's yellow ochre. You got all these colors in there. Think about it in terms of that, open your mind a little bit more to the colors. What do you really see? Squint a little bit. And I was like, I see it's looking pretty light in the orange there. And the top's looking a little red. I said, good. He's like, in the bottom's what? And I said, it's like kind of looking olive green. He said, good, paint like that. I said, all right. I got a tangerine or something like that out in front of me. Just moseying along. The lights are dim. Once you know it, damn thing comes out like it's like a Rembrandt quality orange here. I'm not tooting my own whistle. At the time, I was floored. I didn't think I didn't think I had it in me. I was like, holy crap! I just fooled my own eyes. I was like, it's that. I mean, that is it. That's all I had to do, and so I became obsessed with painting fruit and things like that. We did assignments with where we had models, life models, and things like that. We had still lives. And I would just ignore everything except for the fruit. Like, I would just be like, all right. This guy, he's got a big head. It's really tall. He's got a hat. Ugly. Everybody's painting the same thing. Said, maybe I'll make this guy into like a Magritte thing here. I'll just try to do his hat a little bit, but then I'll put an apple or something here. I did like the best damn apple I ever seen over top of this really muddy face. So anyway, we had this one assignment. If I remember correctly, it was like it's like a master copy assignment, and I don't think we were really tasked with it to be anything heavy, but I did this copy of a Paul Cézanne painting. It's called The Turning Road, or whatever the direct translation would be. And it's not a super, super popular painting that you would see in most catalogs or in galleries, museums. But it's unique enough. And it had a lot of the qualities that I was drawn to. Like, there's a little house, there's little shrubs and trees, things that were identifiable. And, at the time, I didn't have the artistic vocabulary that I have now, that I'm thinking, well, everybody likes landscapes. Everybody, ironic, right?
Ironic,
with the new show. But more on that later. But it's something that was identifiable, and it's like pleases family, pleases everybody. It's like, it pleases me because there it is. Well, I said I spent about, a couple of hours on the thing, not a lot of time. I just had a photocopy of it, looking at it. Once I whipped the thing out. I had all the colors in the palette. I mean, it was spot on. I ain't just a kidding. This thing was spot on. Obviously, it's not oil based. It was acrylic, so the colors were a little glossier and a little thin. But I was like, no way, this can't be.
I'm out here making forgeries.
I got a career. I got a career in crime now. So we put them up in the hallway, and everybody did a really good job. But they were all artists, and they're very passionate. You can tell that these people really wanted to be artists growing up. And I didn't, this is not the way I designed my life. This is not the way I intended for things to go. And it's just like amazing to be up front with those people and up on the wall and having, the light on it. And it was such an adrenaline rush, really. It just really turned me on to art in general. And from that point forward, I just pursued it. And I had a few talks, a few discussions, pulled some strings. And after a while, I was able to speak with Moravian, the director of transfer, and so on and so forth. And I received some very large scholarships that really paved the way for me. And I got into Moravian, and the rest is history. But that's just a little lead. I mean, I don't even remember where we started. We can cut that part out if we have to. But
no, that was great.
Not at all. I think I've never heard someone use the phrase "designed my life." Which is funny because you're talking about your passion for interior design and the work that you do now, and I really like that concept. That like it's not how you designed it, but look where you are now kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit in there, but it's also crazy to think though, because you set these things up for yourself and growing up, or depending, everybody's different, obviously. I mean, but for my limited exposure in art, I mean, I think I saw the Andy Warhol show at the Allentown Art Museum. I was so young to even remember anything. I honestly don't remember anything. And my exposure to art was so limited in the place that I grew up too, that it's not like you can walk down to, the gallery. You can't walk to the Downtown Art Museum. We can't, there's nothing that I didn't exhibit any interest in the art. So it's not like I was like, all right, let's go. You're 9 years old. Let's go to MoMA and, see all these things. And so, you never really see it coming. And so I think that's like the strangest thing looking back. And for me, it's kind of like, thinking about those moments and where I'm at now and how much progress I have made. It just goes to show where you put your mind and how hard you want to work at it is the end result, really. And so, now I'm in such a contemporary world and a contemporary form of art, and amongst all these people, all these galleries, and like 16 years old, I was like, all right, 2 more years and we're in Autotech, yeah, baby, we're working for Joe's Garage. Maybe I'll get a Corvette in there one day. And now it's like I'm in LA, I'm in DC, I'm all over the place. And it's like, I didn't ever think that I would travel. Maybe I didn't even remember if there was an airport in Allentown. So it's just crazy how your eyes open. And I think that was really good for me. It was good for me culturally. It was good for me socially. It informs so much of everything around us.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's always a loaded question, but you really take for granted how much art can show you in your life. It's almost everything around you, has some sort of form of art. And you can find beauty in almost everything.
Sure.
And that's just where I see myself. It just paves a lot of those paths for me.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing to say, because I think that there is so much about being an artist or having an appreciation for art that really does give you a different way of looking at things. Yeah. And I think I took some art class in college that it was almost entirely focused on spatial awareness and not even about art, which I was really cool, because it was just, we're not even going to talk about this painting. We're not going to look through this textbook. We're just going to talk about how does the world around you impact how you think about things and how you look at things and what your perception of people is. And just, I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like one of those things where you're, my artist mentor, Ian Summers, who's down in Florida, he's into faces and clouds. Now he's down in Florida. He's seeing the bark of trees and seeing faces, everything. He's like, I'm seeing faces and things like that. And I remember when I was first mentoring with him, I was like, wow, I'm not really getting these faces, man. I'm not getting these faces. And now it's, after a few sessions of working with him, he's like, no, you got faces and all over the work. And I would see it. And I was like, yeah, now I was telling family and friends, I was like, see that? There's something in there, And eventually that manifests into everything. I mean, going in your parking lot here. I was like looking at the geometry of the buildings and the way that the ground was. And I was like, I should take a picture of this later, because I think that could be a nice little area to a painting one day. And I start seeing things in terms of shape and color. And, maybe when I eventually change my form of art making, I mean, will it be more geometric? Will it be more loose? Am I going to use these blocks of color and go completely loose with it? But there are so many elements now that just walking past, down a trail or anywhere you go, there are so many elements to the world that can turn itself into a painting or a work of art.
Absolutely.
Or something that can inspire you later. It's crazy.
Definitely comes from your perspective as well, because you're going to have a different perspective as of another artist that was, even if you think about the artist in the house gallery, they could look at your piece and think of it in 20 different ways, depending on who's there, which is why we do this.
Careful how you respond, folks. Careful how you respond.
Well, you had something, I think it was in your artist statement about photographing something without looking and then using that as inspiration for a painting. So I'd like to ask a little bit about your process and where inspiration for works comes from and your current series. And
well, well, here we go. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. But it's not by accident. This is on purpose, and it's out of a little bit of desperation to stay cool out in Palm Springs. But yeah, realistically, I had set out a couple years ago to Palm Springs. I stayed out with family, and my goal out there was really focused with my brother. We're kind of like, we're going to be rock and roll. We're going to make it. Everybody makes it here. This is it, Oh boy, do we have our tail between our legs. And so everything we did there, you get all these muscles on the plane. You're like, this is it. This is like the land of opportunity here. And boy, we couldn't be more scared than two mice, running from a cat. So we're trying to navigate being out there, and it is a lot to digest. I mean, you got, and thank God I had them there, but you get these. If I was on my own, I don't know about this. I'd probably stay at home base, but we stayed out with family, and essentially, I would say we may have borrowed their automobile. Okay, I'm using the word borrow loosely. And we're supposed to stick around the Los Angeles area where we were staying in a little apartment, and let's just say we borrowed the car without permission and took it to Palm Springs. And I said, well, you see it on TV. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Sunny pools and all this good looking stuff. Let's rock and roll out there. You can punch it into the maps. It's 2.5 hours away or something like that. And,
so you take your borrowed car.
Take the borrowed car. Okay, 200,000 miles or something. Don't hold me to it. But I think it was over 200,000 miles.
Wow.
But like I said,
risky.
There's confidence that you get. There's confidence that you get with the being a mechanic. You get a flat tire, things like that. You change it.
You got it.
Yeah, I got this covered. We'll make it look like nothing ever happened when we get it back. Of course, unless we hit something.
Well, yeah.
Then we're in trouble. Anyway, we're driving through canyons, and it's pretty warm in LA in the summer. We're kind of laying low there, and it was getting hot and been 98 degrees, no problem. Driving through canyons. Cool stuff that you only see it on TV, magazines, photographs.
Yeah,
it's like crazy. I wasn't born there, so going out there was like, whoa. I just can only envision myself on a motorcycle or something, like ripping through this stuff.
Yes.
And looked beautiful, 103 degrees. Watching the temperature on the little dash going up, I said, hey, this must be the desert. And look at the GPS; it's like an hour away, and it's like, we got a little ways to go here. 105, 107 is going up. It's going up. I'm not talking miles per hour. I'm talking temperature. And
man.
So we had stop and go traffic getting out of there. I mean, getting out of LA, going there too. So we were already in how many lanes of traffic, stop and go, and so it took a little bit longer than we anticipated. Now we were supposed to have the car back. We like locked up the apartment. We were giving the keys back. This is the day we're gonna go back to the relative's house and just unwind and get ready we're going to head home soon. And I say, might as well do it. Well, it's 114 degrees. The visitor center to Palm Springs. And there they are, this old diner style, beautiful little thing. I'm so into mid-century and stuff. So I got my goosebumps going, heart's beating out of my chest. I'm like going to run in there. Like, I love this place. Adopt me. 118 degrees, something like that out there.
Wow.
So I get out of the car. I'm just burning. The AC stopped working, like keeping up. Like it's blowing hot air. I mean, the AC is working. I know it is.
Can't keep up,
but I can't keep
hot.
up. Yeah. I'm in the visitor center. I said, I was really happy to be here, but is it always this damn hot here? And they're like, welcome to Palm Springs, And I was like, oh yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania. And I'm really happy to be out here, and I always see it on TV, and I'm an artist and this and that. I just want to get a lay of the land and things. Well, everybody else comes from out of town here too. If you want a map, we can sell it to you for $15. I was like, well, you don't know much about Palm Springs, but I was hoping, I was thinking, I don't want to use Google. Some warm welcome. I want some warm welcome. I want some sort of greeting here. But there's a light in the studio, folks. We'll edit that out.
You're not the first person that's been like,
it looks squishy.
We have a little light cube, like a little plastic light cube in here. Cody's like, oh.
Yeah, it looked like it would be squishy.
It's not, though. It's disappointing.
It is disappointing. Anyway, the map costs money to be there. So I guess that's how they pay some of their tourism fees and whatnot. Yeah. They don't have the ski lifts going up there.
They're $15 map.
It's kind of strange because you can go on Google and look this stuff up, but what do you say? What do you do in Palm Springs kind of thing? And everybody's going to have their own thing. Google's going to have their own itinerary. And I don't know where the hell I am, but there's a visitor center here.
Yeah.
So I said, well, give me the map of fun things to look at. Give me all the houses. They got all the celebrity houses there. Anybody who's the who's who, you can drive past. Boy, was it bland and bleak, though, for the first few streets. I said, well, I get out of visitor center. I make the first immediate right to a little cul-de-sac, things like that, come back down. So we just drove almost every street,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this doesn't look like anything on TV. Am I in, is this like Palm Springs here or something like that? Is this Palm Springs, Texas or something like that? Because this is not looking.
This is not the picture perfect Palm Springs, I imagine.
Yeah, this is an HGTV and everybody's in their pool and they're flipping houses out there and say hi to the camera crew. And, they got fences, like electric fences. They got tall things, security. They like paid security. It even looks like there's military presence on the top of the mountain. I don't know what they're doing back there. Freeze right there. We got them,
They're out there in Roswell or something.
Yeah. So it's really great. And here's this silver car driving up and down the streets. Not 1 ounce of traffic. Not 1 iota from anybody. Nothing. There's nothing. And so I was like, this can't be it. And so we're driving around a little bit more, but the houses are beautiful. I mean, we're talking. You couldn't even dream it up to be this nice. It's like crazy mid-century, atomic homes, slanted roofs, 3-car garages, pools, palm trees were pristine. And I'm like, who does all this work? Because I know the people that own these don't. I know it for a fact. I mean, celebrity vacation homes or something like that. Who knows? So maybe somebody hiding under the mountains, a bat cave.
That's what all the military people are for.
Landscaping. They go back in the bat cave.
Yeah, exactly. But eventually we started, getting through trailer park and stuff like that. It kind of looked like a map out of Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it was crazy. It really wasn't. It was like a video game kind of thing. It was really, you get to the other side of the mountain. I was like, okay, you get a few trailer courts, and then there was some really modular apartments and condos that were like cubes, like these. They were like Rubik's cubes, and then they're all like glass and everything, and they're like super small. But I'm sure you pay an arm and a leg for those. Anyway, I digress. And we're going down. Said to my brother, we gotta get gas right now. We're low on gas, and they got these weird gas pumps, so I guess the heat doesn't get to her. You don't explode or combust.
Oh,
but you got all these little things, these little filter things that you put on, and all this kind of extra stuff. Yeah. So it's really unique out there. Let's just get some photography here. I'll bring it back. And I know our mother would like to see some stuff out there because we're watching the shows on TV.
Yeah.
I said we drove about 15 minutes, and part of my process just became holding the camera out the window. And I had this old clunky Nikon DSLR at the time,
I have one of those.
And I didn't really think too much about it. I was like, we're going to have the big camera body and lens kit kind of thing going on. And probably not a good choice for what I was doing. And that gets down to where I got today, condensing into product sponsored by Leica, but anyway, I was shooting out the window like this, and I was like, I hope I get something good.
Yeah.
And because you couldn't roll the window down, really, we had it cracked, and then the lens, and then the filter, and the sun cap, like literally sticking out the window, and it looked like it was an espionage, some spy like doing some casework here. Like there's
private investigator.
The twins. There they are with the big noses. It's Russian spies out here.
The men in black.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking photos.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those things. You saw us. We'll turn the flash on the camera. Be gone. So the end result was a large photo batch that was all shot from basically the window. And a little shot from the hip because I went over to McDonald's. And out of all the places in the world that you could possibly sit down and eat and go and travel to, favorite place in the world, Palm Springs, I ate at the McDonald's. And it was cool because they have little chairs, like we're sitting in Eames-style chairs, nice, fiberglass chairs.
So this was a Palm Springs.
This was the Palm
Springs.
This is Ronald McDonald's mid-century phase, okay? All right, this was the... forget the little play palace that they got going on, the tubes.
Yeah.
All right. We're talking in-ground pool. No, not really. But, and of course a Dollar General and everything else that you have around here. So, it's pretty normalized, but I guess the fun part about that whole story is I never really made it to what you see on TV. And I guess there are, you get towards Coachella and all those places and stuff. There's, you're out there in desert spaces and there's a whole bunch of different architecture and landscapes. So it was kind of like an explorer back in the day. So, oh man, I really made it now. I'm on this island and you end up in a whole different continent. So, so that's the goal for going back. But anyway, the moral of the story is, you take the car out and you go back and there they are standing at the door and say, "No, there we go. This is it. This is the one." So, you guys are back on time, but you slept on top of the sheets. I say, "Oh, God." So, well, first of all, we don't. Back where I'm from, Pennsylvania, we don't sleep on sheets. I wasn't raised with sheets. I slept on a couch 16 years of my life. How the hell are you supposed to, How am I supposed to know what sheets are? We don't have sheets where I'm from. But yeah, that's also surprising too. Is you go through that whole trip and all that stress and high tension. You're going to get yelled at, but it's better to ask for forgiveness, and then all you do is sleep on top of sheets.
So what was the music incentive for going out there?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Just rock and roll in general.
Well, isn't it just rock and roll getting on a plane and just landing there?
It
is.
You're right. And stealing borrowing a car. And
yeah. Well, that's kind of the whole thing.
So metal.
I know, but you couldn't have been so far from rock and roll or what we were doing. We were so shy and we were very polite. We didn't go out to the bar and we were like, no alcohol. No, nothing. We're good. We're back at supper. We were making the beds. We got all this stuff going on. It was the first thing from rock and roll, except for the fact that my brother's spending all of our money on a guitar in Hollywood. Well, we're here. And you jackass, we just spent all our money. We didn't have much to begin with, but there it goes, and now we got to return home. So our trip was pretty much cut short because he really wanted the guitar. We don't have it nowadays anyway, by the way.
Really?
So, but anyway, the photographs, they were pretty much successful. I have a couple posted on my Instagram. You scroll way down and,
okay.
I have some that are archived and some that are on my bridge because you can't see them because they're source material. It's classified source material. But no, I don't paint directly from photographs. We're going to probably cross that bridge about the work. But no, I don't. I just use them as a reference point because, there's a house that I like. And then there's a mountain that looks pretty good, and I say, all right. But then there's a mailbox that just throws it all off the rails. I said, this mailbox, the hedges, it's no good. But I said, what would it look like if those weren't there? And so I grab a palm tree from another photo and I paint that palm tree in front of it.
So you kind of put it together almost like a collage without collaging.
Like a collage without collaging. And I don't have the attention span to use Photoshop anymore. That's like taking bits and pieces out. And, there's some people that are really good with that. And I was like the quick select tool, and then all of a sudden you get the palm tree, you got the leaves, you got it all done, and roll the sky. You got the whole sky in there too. So I was forget that stuff. Forget that. I know what I want, and I know what I want to paint. So I was just like did one thing at a time. House, little thing, mountains. But I have to say, I got pretty darn good at painting mountains when I say a little silver and gold in there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the heat and speaking of rock and roll, it is a little bit warm in the studio today, so we are going to have a arts podcast first and do a little bit of a break here.
Yes.
Cody was generous enough to share some music with us, so that's going to fill our break. And when we get back, we will jump into talking about your Palm Springs painting. So, Cody, we left off talking about your trip to Palm Springs, and I'd like to go ahead and jump into the artwork that you shared with us. So, this piece, Palm Springs, done in 2021. It's acrylic on canvas and 20 inches by 20 inches. A bold light blue sky commands the top half of this landscape piece. Cutting through the center of the painting are two converging mountain ranges. The mountain range on the right is further from the viewer and depicted with a bluish-purple hue that mimics the light of the sky. The mountain range from the left is richer in color, done in shades of tan, brown, black, and a bit of yellow, with scratchy blue details running down the mountain. Set along the base of the mountain range is a purple house with a flat roof and a long pink window along the front. A bright green grassy area extends in front of the house. In the foreground are brushy tan and gold plants that merge with a dark shadowy area at the very bottom of the painting. While the color does not necessarily reflect as such, the terrain depicted in this work is a desertous area with brushy foliage and tall, dry mountains.
Yeah, it's always interesting to have others, really read into it, dive into it, and see what perhaps maybe the artist wasn't seeing in the first place. Of course, these are the obvious at the description of the painting, but it's always great having works up for interpretation, things of that nature. So, the piece was, as I touched on earlier, was really kind of this mode of thinking, I got my photographs here for reference. I've done so much high key color work in the past. Where am I turning right now? And I know I wanted to have a show with new material. And so basically my next mode of operandi, for instance, was, all right, well, I'm here. I got to make something new.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So the last thing on my mind was a landscape, really, though, when I was starting. And it started out a few works of abstract expressionism. I like to warm up, get my de Kooning on, start looking at my heroes here. And I started looking at some hard edge paintings, a little scraping, a little removal. I said, I got this. I'd say I've gone through at least 5 canvases now, and nothing looks like the piece that you are looking at right now or
really?
or visualizing. So, in fact, there was not even a landscape. So I said, I got this extra canvas, moved out of the banana factory. I'm not a big fan of reworking things, so I'll stretch it over and let's see what happens. Well, before you know it, I'm desperate enough to do a landscape. I said, I'm just going to do it for myself. All right. It's late at night. It's 1, 2 in the morning. Can't get any sleep. I got to make something. I got to do something. Nothing's coming. I'm frustrated. And pull the photographs up, start playing with them a little bit. Boy, they're really kind of subtle. Mountains are nice. Mountains are blue and purple in person. Sky is blue. The landscape is tan. We got sand. Let's spice it up a little bit. Let's add a little bit of zing and pep into it. See what happens. So I just started working into it. And I start with toning the canvas. I said, all blue, all mid-century colors. I want this blue. I want this classic Sears catalog blue, green. These oranges, yellows, anything that had a real nice pop to it. And I said, well, let's put it all together. Now let's just really go for it. So I had this nice tone canvas of this aqua, this teal. I swear they're going to name it the Abrachinsky turquoise one day, they're just going to have something for me. Somebody, Golden, if you're listening. But truthfully, I buy this color in just the masses. Anytime I see it, it's like Monopoly. I pass go, I grab one. And I just love it. And tone the canvas, get going, start moving along here. And just did a basic outline. So the mountain's got to come first. And start with just this heavy black hard edge. Like I'm talking stark against the canvas. It is Mars black.
It cuts right through the
right
sky.
In. Yeah. And then I So, well, black's not going to go all the way across. I mean, that's my foreground.
Yeah.
I'll play with the background a little bit more. So I'm looking at my reference images, not seeing it. So I turned to art history. I started looking through a few post-impressionists and said, what are they doing? Well, gosh, they weren't really doing hard edge, back in that period of time. So I said, well, you know what? Let's try to do something like it's in the distance, some blues, some purples, make it look like it's kind of far away. Or it could look like it's a little bit closer. So I started layering some of those. And wow, I'm spilling my secrets here. But anyway, I just went to town with it. And I said, all right, now we got this landscape defined. Let's just start like attacking the canvas. Everything is like super stark. You got this blue sky. Nothing is going to be above that vanishing point, that horizon line that I created. So just went into it with like gold. Said, well, gold is not going to go good with fluorescent yellow or green, and whoever views it, and that's your opinion. I think it's kind of greenish. Against that teal. I said, well, I think the gold will kind of go nice against the teal. And the black, black and gold. You can't go wrong with that look. And I threw it against the sky. I threw it against the landscape. I'm thinking to myself, Eureka! This is my aha moment here. And it shouldn't theoretically kind of make sense that these colors and his gold foils and things like that are really kind of playing against one another. Cause I was really thinking like Mystery Machine, Scooby-Doo kind of stuff here. I was thinking straight up, just like looking at their van, like, oh, maybe this is going to be maybe this is it. I got the oranges out of there. So basically he took the whole Mystery Machine apart and built the landscape. So
I'm so glad you said that, because when we were in your room at the house gallery the other day, I was like, this is like the Scooby-Doo room.
Like it's a vibe.
The green couches and the walls and the artwork. Oh man. And the lava lamp. Like,
all we need are some Scooby snacks and we're on our way, Zoinks though,
No, but it does. It works really well. And the piece itself, with all the colors that you had chosen, you would think they wouldn't work together, but they make everything have its own definition, everything pop in its own unique way, which is really neat. Because if I tried to do that, it would just be a blob.
So how do you describe, or what do you categorize your style as? I know you work in a lot of different mediums and a lot of your pieces have different styles, but when I look at this, it's the colors of pop art, but it's very expressionist. And now you're talking about post-impressionism and...
again, big loaded tuna can here. I think some people shudder at the term style, especially in school for art and stuff like that. Like, oh, come on, that's not good jargon there. You pull out your big boy vocabulary, get my glossary out. No, I mean I think my style is, in this particular series, I think I'm really looking to a lot of the post-impressionists and expressionism. And really early works like that. A lot of Paul Cézanne, like I said, my original influence as we circle back and looking how he's breaking down color, shape, and brush, and looking at de Kooning, a lot of those artists and abstract expressionists kind of using those very large brushes, very large strokes to kind of define shapes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like a neo-expressionism meets, modern landscape kind of thing, contemporary landscape. So if I hashtag it, hashtag contemporary landscapes, and I like kind of sink into it myself, because I always kind of saw the landscape as something that you get a commission. Hey, pay my dog.
Yeah.
Hey, paint my house for $20. How that sounded? Buy yourself a nice lollipop, and you go through all that school, and it just costs a lot and things like that, and it's. You want to put it to good use. You want to feel like an artist, you want to blend in. You want to be a part of the whole, the whole kit and caboodle there. And so I just like neo-expressionism and stuff like that is how I kind of categorize this work. But I think I'm at the point now where I'm picking and defining my color palette, and a lot of the works are consistent. The styles have changed, and you can look at my website and my Instagram. Things have varied, mostly my website. I've tapped into sculpture, like metalworks and photography, and just about any medium you can think of. I love to experiment, of course.
Yeah.
Hands-on kind of guy, but I'd say the color really is the starting point, though, of something that's going to be this lifelong, passion and what I'm going to pursue. I mean, I'm never going to get away from these fluorescent colors and the hikey colors. I've stuck through it through school. I stuck through it for when I first started. It's something I gravitate towards. I'm attracted to the colors, and nobody can tell me different. I will do your farmhouse. I will do your dog, but your dog's going to be in 50 shades of, modern and contemporary colors that, no classical palettes need it from me.
Yeah.
No, I won't do commissions, by the way. Disclaimer.
Before you ask.
Don't ask.
Before you ask. But truthfully, I think it's starting there, and I'm kind of like happy to admit that that's at least the beginning of where I think that my name is just going to kind of carry throughout. And it's like the past 3 years of development is like all this palette. And so I'm happy. But we don't know where the style's going.
Okay.
You can only do so much in the desert paintings, and which are cool. And I like it. I like the subject matter. But where will Abrachinsky go next? Perhaps Alaska?
Ooh.
Well, there you go.
The world may never know.
So, Cody, if people want to see where Abrachinsky's going to go next, where can they find your work, buy your work, get in contact with you?
You can find Cody Abrachinsky at Cody Abrachinsky on Instagram and www.codyabrachinsky.com. That's www.codyabrachinsky.com.
Very good. And that is spelled Abrachinsky.
Perfect. Right on the dot.
Very good. And if people would like to see your work in person, you are currently exhibiting at the Bethlehem House Gallery.
Until October 2nd.
October 2nd. And I have here the closing reception is October 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. So maybe you'd get to meet Cody in person.
How unfortunate for you.
Oh, no.
He's joking. It would be great.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today, for your time, for your stories. I hope those people got their car back.
Yeah. Forgive me if you're listening. Forgive me if you're listening. I know I have a lot of supporters and family. I'd like to thank everybody that mentioned me before me in this podcast series, and thank everybody for the continuous support and all the belief and giving me these experiences so quickly in my 5 years or so of painting, 5-6 years of painting and discovering art. So that's my big thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. And that was our conversation with Cody Abrachinsky. Thank you so much for coming on. And here is Elise for the opportunity of the week.
The Pain Gallery at Moravian College has an open call for entries. They invite visual artists working in all mediums to submit work for their new show titled New Normal, Working Through Quarantine. The submission deadline is July 26, 2021. You can submit your work by tapping the link in their Instagram bio or visiting moravian.edu/open-entries. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we're here recording at Steel Pixel Studios in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. You can find the studio and the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Steel Pixel Studios and at Lehigh Valley Arts Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next week.